Hello and welcome gamers to another episode of Vidja Game Hunting. Labor Day weekend is come and gone. That means summer is drawing to a close. And unfortunately in my area, the one and only flea market that's worth hitting up in the area, about an hour out of town, is done for this season. So let's touch on a couple of things I picked up. This is going to encompass my last two trips, including Labor Day weekend, just this last Sunday, and about mid-July. We'll go over some of the things I picked up there. Now the flea market in my area has not been great for me in previous years. It's just dried up, and I went 3 times this year, and actually I ended up doing okay, especially this last couple times, and we'll kind of get into that. But first up, in July I ran into a vendor that I'd never seen at the flea market before. This doesn't really happen, and he had a lot of NES games. And as I was walking around the flea market, he kept pulling out more, and I came back and found some that I needed. So first up, Formula 1 Built to Win. I don't know if this game's any good or not. It does have a battery pack, I see, but definitely one I needed for my collection. Another one here, we've got Puzznick. I don't think this is like super uncommon, but I don't come across it very often. And then last up, we have Worm Journey to the Center of the Earth. Now, the great thing about this and this vendor is I kind of made a new contact and explained that I was a collector, asked him what else he had that wasn't at the flea market, and I actually ended up working on a deal with him outside of the flea market, which will be a haul for another video, but it's an awesome new contact, so hopefully I can get some more games out of him. He seems to have a lot of stuff at his place that he hasn't quite gone through yet and is ready to sell. And then just returning to the flea market this weekend, I ran into that guy again. And he had NES games, but I'd kind of picked over everything I needed from him previously. But I did pick up Sky Kid. This was the game that James and Mike shot the price up on over at Cinemassacre. I think it's come down a little bit. I got it for like 15, I think, which wasn't too bad. And then this last stop was this last weekend also. I went into a vendor that I've had no luck at. He hasn't really had much for games that I've needed in the last couple of years. And then I went inside and checked his glass display case and found some really cool items at a really good price. I found Blackjack. It's a Game & Watch, multi-screen. Now, I know this isn't probably the most exciting Game & Watch. In fact, it's probably the lamest. But it's still a Game & Watch. It works. And I had to have it in my collection. And then along with that, in the display case, I found this awesome vintage Mario 2 era Nintendo collector pin set. I really don't know a lot about this. I've searched for images online, found a couple, not a whole lot of info. You know, Mario Bros. 2 was kind of when Nintendo was really popular, and Mario Bros. 2 was the first Mario series to really get a bunch of merchandise around it. So you saw a lot of that at this time when this game was out. So it's not surprising there would be something like this. I've just never seen this. The case is a little beat up, but the pins are really cool. Super excited to have this. For this and the Blackjack Game & Watch, I paid $30. Which I thought was a steal, and he had some other great Super Nintendo games that were dirt cheap that my buddy Andy picked up. Okay, so next up, unbelievably, I scored a Craigslist deal, a good one, at a good price, and even before this deal got set up, I was kind of already intrigued by the person I was meeting because I had told him what I was driving, a Trailblazer, and he replied saying, okay, we'll meet here, and I'm driving a black minivan because I've given up. So already I like this person, can't wait to meet him. Guy steps out, and basically we did a trade, or we did a deal for a Jungle Green N64. It does have all the hookups. I'm not going to show you guys that. You know what they look like. And a couple games, which we'll get into. But before he hands it over to me, he's like, I didn't tell my wife what I'm selling. So he pulled up. His wife was driving. He's the passenger in this minivan. Has it all boxed up, sealed, and he's like, I didn't tell my wife what I'm selling. And he comes and like stands over by my vehicle, kind of blocking his wife's view. And here, he was selling me her Nintendo 64. She had no idea. He said his wife was a big 64 fan. So the whole thing was pretty comical to me. And it was a great deal, too. And I got a couple of games with this. With that came a couple of games. Star Fox 64. Not a big Star Fox fan, but it's good enough. And then Diddy Kong Racing. So great deal. I don't know if I'll hold on to that. We'll see. But it is a really cool looking 64 system. So, some other games that I picked up. I guess one more thing from the flea market. Mobile Game World, I talked about them before. They were out there. They didn't have a lot because I'd ran into them a couple weeks prior. I'll show you what I got when I ran into them there. But I did pick up Indiana Jones for the Super Nintendo. I don't know if this is any good, to be honest. But it was like $8. I thought I'd give it a shot. And then 2 weeks prior, or the week prior, there's a neighboring town that has like a street fair. I went to that, ran into the same Mobile Game World guys, they were there. Got Adventure Island 2, that completes my Adventure Island set, so I'm glad to have that one done. And then I also picked up Kabuki Quantum Fighter. Don't know anything about this. It's got a rental sticker on the back for Game Time Inc. I kind of love that. I always leave the rental stickers on there, it's cool. And then in the mail, I received from TJ Kitsune, Jason. I'll leave a link to his YouTube channel. We did a trade. He had posted a pickup video stating he bought Blood Rain for a second time. He thought he needed Blood Rain 2 for the original Xbox, and he just bought a second copy of Blood Rain. I looked at my collection, I realized I had Blood Rain 2. I was like, hey, let's just do a straight trade. You know, just kind of fun to do. It's not like anybody was coming out ahead. In fact, we're probably losing money in the shipping, but again, it's nice to help people out. So I traded him a couple games, and he gave me a copy of Blood Rain for the original Xbox. Fun game if you've not played it. He also gave me this awesome Xbox Holiday 2005 Official Magazine number 52 sampler. It's got King Kong and some other demos on there. I really like picking these up when I find them in stores. Kind of uncommon. And then CSI for the original Xbox. I don't know if you guys are CSI fans, but I remember watching CSI back in college, and there's actually an episode of CSI where the murder weapon is a GameCube. They don't call it a GameCube. I think they call it like a Zen box or something like that. But it's definitely the GameCube. Somebody grabbed the handle in the back of the thing, bludgeoned the victim to death with it. So there you go. Fun fact. GameCube murder and a CSI episode.
Drive-by, Miami style.
And then also, while I was out in the flea market area, I stopped by a thrift store that I love to frequent, and I found this thing. For $2.50. It's a complete in box 2-pack dance pad with DDR for the original Xbox. Now the case is in here, both pads are in here. It looks like one pad has probably never been used, but the game disc is missing. I'm sure I can put that in there. Not a big deal. A couple bucks, I'll have that replaced. So that was cool. I don't really need it. I'll probably never play it, but for $2.50, I mean, who's gonna walk away from this? I probably should have, but I didn't. And then last up, my buddy Nate's Cartridge Fun. We'd gotten our families together a few weeks ago now and done a barbecue, kids played and everything. And his daughter Peyton surprised me with this awesome little Mario figure from McDonald's. I think the run that they did a couple years ago. He lights up. Seems like he'd be good for a dance party. But anyway, it was super sweet. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's going to go on the shelf here as soon as I'm done filming this. As always, guys, yeah, that's the haul for this go-around. I got some really cool, unique items that I thought. Let me know what you guys think, and I've got more pickups coming next. And as always, stay tuned. I'll talk to you next time.